Hey there, amplifiers. When it comes to amplifying your business, it is important to have the right mindset. And far too often, we can get dealt the 1-2 punch that throws us off and then starts putting us into the kind of victim mentality. And this can really be easy to do when there's a pandemic going on. So our guest today is going to be talking about really, taking some ownership and accountability for what actions you can take in your own business to move yourself forward. So it's getting the right mindset. So I'd like to welcome to Growth Amplifiers, Bill Sablan. Bill, welcome.
Thank you. I appreciate you having me on.
Thank you for being here and thank you for showing up. And if you wouldn't mind just kind of giving listeners just a quick background of who you're with, and the service that you provide.
Yeah, for sure. So I'm a partner with NOW CFO. We're a national outsourced operational accounting firm. I'm in charge of our Seattle practice. So
Mm,
I've been with the firm going on 8 years now, been in both Portland and Seattle, been in Seattle the last 4 years now.
super cool. And we were chatting right before we got on and just how important it is to have the right mindset and really being proactive with some things that you can take control of. What are some of the things that you're seeing as you're connecting with people?
Yeah, I mean, I think obviously the the biggest talking point last year was everything going on with the pandemic and businesses being shut down, and a lot of people angry that whether it's the government controlling what they're doing or just what's going on in the world,
Hmm.
and people sort of started to get into that mindset of, well, my business isn't doing well, so it's other people's fault, or whether it's just the nature of the pandemic or it's other forces. They weren't taking ownership of it. So that was something that I've really been thinking a lot about. This as we kind of close up 2020 and we're getting ready for 2021, is what can I control? What can we actually do to keep keep the business going in the right direction? And if you really just kind of take that ownership of what you're doing and be accountable to yourself, that's going to be the most important thing to set you on the right path.
I highly concur with that logic. It makes a lot of sense. And I shared with you that, on my journey, I've had times where, things happen and it hurt. And then it's easy to kind of get into, oh, well, because that happened, this is the problem that we're dealing with. But once you kind of get in that zone, it kind of robs you of your power. And sometimes just someone reminding you, hey, wake up. It could be really helpful because it's empowering to say, I could take, I like the concept of being response able.
Mm.
I could choose how I'm going to respond to something. And that's really an empowering mindset. As a CFO and accountant with that all that background, which one of the things that you're seeing that's really people are dealing with now that might be able to get them to turn around and start taking new action?
Well, it always starts with yourself.
Mhm.
Um, no matter what the hierarchy of the business is, and where you fit in within that organizational structure, it's going to start with yourself. And if you're not holding yourself accountable for what you're doing, then it's not going to matter if someone else is or isn't doing that. You've talked about the victim mentality and things like that. I've been in number of board meetings where we start addressing what's the problem that the company is facing, and you could just go around the table and everyone's pointing a finger at someone else, and it's the idea, well, I can't do my job because that person isn't doing this. But really what they're trying to do is just say, hey, it's out of my control, therefore I'm not to blame, don't look at me. But if you really want to succeed, do what you can do to make it right. Do what you can do to get everything done. And if that means you have to have a tough conversation with somebody, and maybe that's the thing that you have to do. And I know a lot of times we try and avoid those tough conversations, and we hope things will work themselves out. But most of the time, things aren't just going to work out. So you got to kind of take that initiative on your own.
I really think that's important. You've heard the saying before, when you're pointing at someone else, you've got three fingers pointing back at yourself, and you hit the nail on the head. It reminds me of being in meetings where, like you said, everyone's just blaming each other for why things aren't working, and that is just not a way to really make forward progress. So if you're tuning in now, I want you to think about this, because if you've been stuck or even plateaued, maybe it's time to get a little fresh perspective, and just getting some fresh perspective can help create a paradigm shift. You see things with new eyes, and then you can start taking new actions. Or even if you've got things working for you, sometimes that's also a good time to start getting some fresh perspective, because everyone has a blind spot. Uh, so Bill, if people are interested, saying, now CFO, that sounds pretty cool. Maybe I could use some fresh perspective. How could they learn more about you and what you do? What's an action for them to take?
Yeah, I mean, certainly check out our website nowcfo.com. There's a ton of good information on there. There's also, a form if you want to sign up for a free consultation. Um, I'm certainly always welcome to talk to anyone all over the country. We will do free consultations, whether it's like, hey, I just need to talk to someone about, this budget I'm preparing, or a cash flow forecast, like really specific accounting things, or maybe it's just a general business consultation. Like, hey, these are our goals that we had in mind, or these are these obstacles that keep coming up. What are some solutions we can talk about? And, we'll spend an hour with that business owner or that management team and really go through all of these things. And even if you're not working with us, it's a useful exercise, because you'll have a whiteboard full of ideas and solutions and goals. And, you'll come away from it feeling like you've got a plan in place, and you can attack the day and get the year going the way you want it to go.
I love it. So here's the call to action. Visit the website, but also just take some accountability for being proactive and moving yourself forward, regardless of what status you're at. Be proactive, move yourself forward, and just hold yourself accountable for what is done in the past. That empowers you, and that's a way to amplify. So, Bill, thanks for tuning in and for sharing. I appreciate you and what you do.
All right, thank you.
To show your support, take a moment to amplify this message by sharing it online. To connect with me or gain more business growth insights, visit www.growthamplifiers.com. Thank you for your support.